All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Hey, joining us now for our initial reaction movie review of the week, Mr. Charles Browder is with us. Charles, thank you, sir, for coming back.
Thanks for having me back, Paul. Glad to be here.
Yes, sir. And you reviewed a movie that I think a lot of people are wanting to see because, first of all, it's a comic book movie. Everybody loves comic book movies. But this one was Logan. Hugh Jackman. Apparently, it's his last foray into the Wolverine character. Am I right? Did you go see Logan?
Right. We went and saw Logan. Yes, this is the 10th time he's appeared as Logan in a movie. And whether that's a cameo or the whole movie. And so, yeah, over the span of, I guess, around 15 years. So, yeah, this is his final farewells and playing that role as an actor. So,
wow. Well, so, I mean, did he do a good job? Or, I mean, you know, some of those Wolverine movies of the past have been okay. Others, you know, disappointing. But generally, I mean, the guy is Wolverine. I mean, come on.
Okay, obviously, Wolverine Origins was a horrible idea, but the Wolverine, the one set in Japan, was actually pretty good.
It was. Yeah. We agree on that.
Yeah, we'll put a disclaimer out there real quick. This is nothing like any of the other comic book movies. If I compare it to one, it's probably closest to Deadpool because it's rated R, but it's not nothing plot-wise like Deadpool or anything like that. But it was everything I wanted and nothing I expected. It is definitely a rated R movie. It is not for kids. It is not for anyone with a weak stomach. There is a lot of violence. There's a lot of blood. There's a lot of adult situations. So
wow. Okay. Well, it doesn't sound like a comic book movie at all. I mean, if it's not for the kids, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, it's rated R. So depending on the parents, I guess.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I would. I would not say this is one to take the family to see. It's you know, it's part Western, part neo noir, part. It deals with a lot of different areas, but it plays more like a gritty Western road trip movie set in the middle, almost in the middle of nowhere. You know, traveling across these big open skies and endless miles kind of scenarios where they're traveling from one point to another.
Okay. So this movie is set in the future, right? I mean, that's why, like...
near future. I think they said 2029.
Okay.
And so we see a weary, you know, Wolverine. He's taking care of Professor X along with this other character named Caliban, but his power was, you know, tracking mutants and finding them. Well, in this future, it's very dystopian. There's not many mutants left, if any at all. And so he's basically, as he says in there, basically a glorified truffle pig because he doesn't really get to use his power anymore because there aren't very many mutants around. So basically it's him and Wolverine taking care of Professor X, who now has a degenerative brain disorder, you know.
That's ironic.
Which causes them to have seizures, which then, you know, freezes like everything within.
So how did old Patrick Stewart? How's he doing these days? He's one of my favorite actors, by the way, but mainly because I'm such a Star Trek fan.
Yes, he did very well. Obviously, not a Picard role at all, but him and Logan kind of have this father-son relationship going on, this kind of tug and push and pull throughout the whole movie because it ends up. So he's taking care of this, and then this little girl named Laura gets thrust into their lives. And I don't want to spoil too much, but basically you find out she's a product of Wolverine in some capacity. And so if you don't know the storyline or you want to go on fresh, I don't want to ruin that for you. But anyway, it kind of ends up being this thrown together kind of discorded family road trip going across trying to get to this one location that she thinks exists. Where it's kind of a safe haven for the...
Yeah, normally, Charles, you know, in these superhero movies or comic book movies, you know, there's a lot of special effects. But I mean, this doesn't sound like there's going to be a lot of special effects. Am I wrong? I mean, are there special effects?
There are a few striking special effects scenes, but like I said, it's done in a very gritty and down to earth manner. It's not done like the big pyrotechnics and stuff like that. It's mostly hand-to-hand combat, and then, like I said, when Professor X starts having these seizures, it affects everyone within a mile radius. And one of those happens in a casino, and everybody in this casino is like frozen. So it's definitely pulls at your heart in a lot of different ways, because it's weird to see also these different like children are involved. You find out, and so it's weird to see this little character, which you see this in the previews, this 11-year-old girl actually slicing people up and stuff because she's this feral child that doesn't really know any better. Like her instincts are kicking in, and so.
So we're talking with Charles Browder. Charles reviews movies on Thursday evenings, initial reaction review. You can go to the YouTube channel, reviews them right after the movie's over. So we know that this is a dark movie. You're saying not for kids. I would take your advice on that. Why does it have a happy ending?
I don't know if necessarily anything about it is happy. Or there's, even from the score right off the bat, there's kind of this, like I said, there's a discord. It sounds like somebody kind of banging on the piano, not knowing what they're doing, hitting the wrong notes. You have an uneasy feeling. His healing factor isn't working well, and they tell you that right off the bat. They kind of show that. And so things aren't right with the world. This isn't the confident Wolverine that's like, hey, I've always been able to rely on myself. I've always had a flag to carry. And so you see this, like, beaten down, like, alcoholic, basically, trying to just keep Professor X alive until he passes away, all of a sudden get thrown into something that he's supposed to care about. And his unwillingness to get involved is a really big part of, a big part of the first act. And so, like I said, there's a throwback to the 1953 Western Shane in the middle of it, and Patrick Stewart is sitting there watching it, kind of describing to the girl, and kind of references, he says a gun is a tool, as good or as bad as the man using it. And so,
hey, that sounds like a pro Second Amendment movie to me.
Yes, it kind of deals with the romance of like is there such thing as a righteous kill? Or different parts of the faith like that. So there are some politics involved. There's definitely carnage everywhere you go. The second and third act are pretty much a very extended chase scene where they're just trying to get to this one spot before they get caught up with their. So
Charles, it is certainly not your normal comic book movie. That's what I'm hearing from you, but. That doesn't necessarily mean it was bad. So on your scale, 5 stars, how many stars out of 5?
Well, like I said, it was definitely not a happy movie, but it definitely was a very farewell to this to Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, a very nice send off to a legacy. That something like that, and I gave it 4.5 because it was very moving. It was very dark and gritty and like I said, it was everything I wanted. Every emotion I kind of wanted to feel, except for a few, and some I didn't. And then it blew me out of the water as far as expectation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you said 4.5 out of 5 or 4 out of 5?
4.5 out of 5.
Wow.
But yeah, faint of heart. If you're not a fan of people getting sliced, I mean, the difference between PG-13 and R-rated violence as far as stabbing and shooting is seeing penetration. So if you don't like claws being shoved into a skull or seeing that, if you got a weak stomach for stuff like that, I wouldn't see it because it's got. I'd say if you averaged it out, there's probably about a kill a minute.
Wow,
there's a lot of violence.
Wow,
yeah.
Charles Browder, initial reaction review. We appreciate it, sir. Thanks so much for coming on. And
thanks for having me on, Paul.
All right, you have a great weekend.
You too.
All right, folks, it's Johnny Cash Friday.